breathe out, I take in, I give out, I let love, I let go, I release, and I know I forgive, I receive, I can feel, I believe, I am healed, I am whole, I release, I know. Breathe, no need to push, no need to try, no need to worry or question why. Surrender, let go, release, and know. I breathe in, I breathe in, I breathe out, I breathe out, I take in, I take in, I give out, I give out, I let love, I let go, I release, I know. Breathe, breathe, In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's release from a world full of chaos and noise. So I wait for these precious moments when I hear all that could never be said, and right here in this holy silence I find God. In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's release from a world full of chaos and noise. So I wait for these precious moments when I hear all could never be said, and right here in this holy silence I find God, I find myself. So I wait for these precious moments when I hear all that could never be said, and right here in this holy silence I find God, I find God, I find still my mind, be at peace. In my awakening, I release with my heart, free my soul. In my awakening, I am home. Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti. As I love and as I give in my... Welcome to the Napa Valley Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Reverend Jay Lang, and it's so much a pleasure to have you join us today online, either on YouTube or Facebook. We have a wonderful service in store for you. Music and message all around this awakening that we can, that is coming in us and around the world. So it's so exciting to be sharing things with you. And we're going to begin, we're doing the streaming, and we can stream musicians from wherever we want. So we're going to begin today's service with a community song by David Washington. And he's coming to us from Asheville, North Carolina, where he is the music director at the Center for Spiritual Living right there in Asheville. And he has 30 years providing inspirational music. And so he's just sharing that music with us today. So please welcome David Washington.
Thank you, Reverend Jay. It's so good to be with you all this morning. I'm thrilled, and I bring you love and greetings from our family here in Asheville. So let's continue with our community song. This is a song I've written called Within Myself. And I imagine the words will be on the screen in a moment. And we'll sing it 3 times. I'll sing it first, and please feel free to join in the second and third time around. Here we go. Within myself is the wholeness of all life. I live in spirit, and all is well. Within myself is the power and poise of life. I live in spirit, and all is well. Here we go. Within myself is the wholeness of all life. I live in spirit, and all is well. Within myself is the power and poise of life. I live in spirit, and all is well. One more time. Within myself is the wholeness of all life. I live in spirit, and all is well. Within myself is the power and poise of life. I live in spirit, and all is well.
Welcome back. I thank you, David Washington. That is such an amazing song, for sharing your spirit with us this morning, all the way from Asheville, North Carolina. And I know that you've had so much wisdom and experience through your years, and you're able to share that through your inspirational music. And if you notice, there's a link on your online site to check out his music. Feel free to look and purchase music of his. We appreciate your support of that this morning. So thank you, David Washington. And above all, I just want to thank all of you for being present with us today, that you continue to
view us, be a part of us, and feel this community that is actually broadened beyond the Napa Valley these days. And so welcome anybody who might be here for the first time, or people who are here beyond the valley joining us today. We have a affirmation that we like to say to all our people watching today. And it simply goes, we bless you today, knowing that the peace and happiness you seek is also seeking you. We honor your inner radiance as you let your light shine in the world. We are grateful for your presence in our community. Blessings. We also like to repeat our vision and mission statement so people can affirm this vision we're doing, and an introduction to those people who might be new. So our vision is, we are an inclusive community for spiritual growth and compassionate action. And our mission, we are co-creating a world that works for everyone by living intentionally, loving unconditionally, and seeing God in all people and all faiths. Glorious affirmation for us, particularly in these days of unrest. But I do think it's a good unrest for us, willing to look at our beliefs and values that don't support all of the world. And if we really want a world that works for everyone, it's important to be able to examine and allow Spirit to reveal in us in this way. And today at 12:30, I wanted to give you another opportunity to view something online. I'm part of an interfaith leader council here in Napa Valley. We represent many different faiths, and we have come together because we wanted to express something about reconciliation and healing, and as well as taking the time to grieve for racial injustices across the globe, but especially here in the United States. So we are gathering in Memorial Park on Main Street today, but it's going to be streamed because we don't want large crowds of people. We want people to stay at a healthy distance. People are welcome to come as long as they're willing to wear masks and keep it a healthy distance. We're going to give a brief view. Actually, I'm going to be doing a Ho'opono ceremony, and then we're going for a walk around 3rd and 1st Street and back to the park and having some more faith leaders talk, and end with prayers and continue, like I said, a grieving and healing. So you can find that online on our Facebook page at 12:30. You're welcome to come in person, like I said, as long as you're willing to wear your mask and be at distance. The other thing I want to know that's very exciting for us, and we've been working, Shauna Marshall and I have been working tirelessly to launch a new website, and it's an exciting website. It's really fun. It's easier to use. It's brighter, lighter, clearer. Right now, you can only find it on nvcsl.com, but that'll be repaired by the end of the next week. We'll have it working for both, but for now, go to nvcsl.com and you can find that link off Google's or our Facebook page. So look for that and enjoy that and give us feedback, how much you like, and if there's anything we might need to tweak or anything like that. But we really appreciate you taking time to look at it. Then also next Sunday, an important day for our center, we're having a food bank fundraiser from 11:45 to 12:15. Now, the food bank still is not wanting food donations. That's still going to be delayed a little bit, but they're still wanting cash donations because they have this buying power with who they are, and they can buy 3 to 5 times more food, particularly meats and dairy products, than we can with our spending power. So they're wanting us to give cash donations, and many people have given to it, and they're doing good, but there's still blocks of people who are seeking food at this time who still want that. So from 11:45 to 12:15, we're going to have a basket out front, and you can drive by, leave your donations, or you can park and walk and walk by and leave your donations. You're welcome to stay around for a little social conversation at social distance with your mask and all that wonderful stuff. But still, I know when we did that a few weeks ago and we said goodbye to Diego, it was wonderful to be able to see each other, so we can do that again. So join in after our services next Sunday to do that. And then not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday, we're going to start a book study group around racism. And stay tuned for the book we're going to use and the format for that. We're still developing that, so give us a week to do that. We do want a response to that. We want to give a chance for us to explore this racism, particularly as a primarily white community, to explore it as from that point of view and be willing to look at our beliefs in that. So stay tuned for that. This June is Pride Month, and there's a lot of things going on in the Valley, but they're often done online or in more separate places, but it's still important to do that. We got a new flag that's an all-inclusive flag. We're flying it this month, as well as the city and the county is. They're flying their pride flags. You can, we filled our courtyard with pansies as part of something called the Pansy Project, which is a long story of things, but basically stands for justice for all GLBTQ individuals and families. So we just want to make sure we're standing proud with them. And then there's also, people are invited to Chalk Your Walk, encourage you to, in collaboration with Together Apart campaign and Rainbow Action Network, just to show your pride with a rainbow or a statement or whatever you want to do, just showing your pride on your sidewalk outside your house or your businesses or nearby park or wherever you want to do that. So that's something you can involve your family in as well. Every Wednesday and Friday, at 10 a.m., we're doing a caring and sharing prayer group on Zoom line. Wednesdays at 6:30, meditation in English, 7:15, meditation in Spanish. Every Thursday, we're doing the Heart, Mind, and Spirit Recovery Group at 5 o'clock, Spiritual Fitness at 7 o'clock, and after every service, a Zoom community call. All these you can find for links online. Now today I'm not going to be on the Zoom community call as long because I need to get over to this, the walk, but I'll be there just to make sure that you have a space and somebody to host it. We also appreciate all the support we feel from you, your prayers. Know that we are praying for you as well. There's a link online. If you have a prayer request, I saw more prayers last week than we've had the whole month of May. So we appreciate that, and practitioners and I are praying for you. Please continue to do that. We also appreciate your financial contributions, the checks you've been sending in, using the PayPal link. We really appreciate that as we continue to fulfill our vision, even as we are in this time of social isolation. So we really appreciate that in all that you do. For more information on any of this, go to our new website or call Mary at the office. She's putting more office hours now in, and she'll be glad to answer any questions you might have. And now we begin with the sacred part of our service.
In the stillness of this moment, when I feel afraid, I let love dissolves my fear. Sometimes I get so angry, believing something's stopping me. But there's still a power nothing can withstand. Ooh, yeah. alone. I find that place inside. Slow down. Dive a little deeper. In the stillness of this moment, all is well.
Good morning, everyone. Wherever you are that you're listening in, I invite you now to close your eyes if you choose to, for it enables you to look within, to go within. And then I would suggest that you take a few deep breaths. And when you inhale, visualize that breath going all the way to the top of your lungs. And as you exhale, follow it all the way down. And when it passes the area between your collarbone and your heart, that's known as the high heart. That is also the center of compassion. So have an awareness for your center of compassion as you breathe deeply in and out. Knowing that all of us are connected, one to the other. Spirit is our source. We all come from the one source, and each and every one of us has something to contribute to each and every other one of us. And knowing that this morning, I invite you to share your compassion with yourself, with those in your life, and with those you know and those you don't know. For as that circle of compassion expands and goes out around the world, it will encircle right back to you, and we all feel more compassion. Whatever it is you may be struggling with or dealing with in these times, know that you are safe, that Spirit provides answers for everything. There are other thoughts, there are other ideas, there are other modalities, there are new things that you can learn about, experience, and invite into your own life for a greater consciousness. And as our consciousness expands, we enhance not only our lives, but everyone's lives. Knowing this to be the truth, I release this prayer and welcome us for a brief time of silent meditation. And knowing that the peace we feel, we can come back to at any time for as long as we like. We can do this anytime. We could do this every day, and we can enjoy an inner sense of peace simply by closing our eyes, taking deep breaths, and visualizing what it is and what we want to know and where we want to be during this time. And I have something I'd like to share with you that I have found to be just marvelous and a wonderful new joy for me that anyone can do. And I'm sharing it just with the idea, here's something new for some of you, and it's called Shinrin Yoku in Japanese. But in English, it's known as forest bathing. Well, I'm not telling you to bring your tub outside, but what I am telling you is the next time you are out and you see trees or flowers or plants, look at them with new eyes. Smell that flower. Use all your senses. Touch the bark on the tree. Do you notice that maybe the leaf on that tree looks like the back of your hand? I find for myself that I love to put my arms around some big tree and feel its warmth pressing against me. That may seem a bit much to some of you, but if nobody's looking and you want to try it, I think you will love it. There's something about interacting with nature that is so primal for us as human beings. So I invite you to look at those leaves, those plants, those trees in a different way. Take a page from the trees. Focus on both being rooted in the ground and reaching for the stars. Thank you.
Thank you, Joey. It's such a breath of fresh air this morning to have you with us. And I don't know about you, but I have been hugging a few trees here and now. So they're not the same as people, but they're a good replacement. So thank you for that reminder. And once again, we want to welcome David Washington in the room.
Good morning. So happy to be here this morning and to share this song with you. This is one of my favorites. It's called Rising Up in Life. And given the circumstances in our world these days, it seems to make a lot of sense, and I'm excited to share this current of feeling, this stream of thought, to continue to go to center and rise up in the midst of whatever is going on. So here we go. Feel free, clap your hands, move your head. Do, 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 do. Deep in my heart, there's something I know. There's only one life, we all live it. And as this new day is dawning, I have a gift to give. So I rise up in life, and I rising up. I see a world full of longing, waiting for spring to appear. I feel a sense of belonging within the love planted here. So I rise up in life, and I rising up. And when the night is over, I slip the veil of slumber. My voice resounds like thunder, lighting up the way of love. Yeah. And I rise. Come on, put your hands together. Have some fun. And I rise, rising up. I rise, rising up. I rise, rising up in life.
Oh, thank you, David. That was just wonderful. I really appreciate you sharing that and this music to rise. It's just inspirational. These are interesting times we're living in, and I just wanted to ask, as a Black man from the South, what your take on all this. You know, we call it an awakening, an awareness of that Black lives do matter, but also that the police treatment of minorities has been going on for a long time, and I think the world is just waking up to what a tragedy this is, and the march for equality and justice. And what's your take on all this? Could you share with us for a moment?
Sure, happy to. And yes, I'm a Black man living in the South, but I was born and raised in New York and in the suburbs of New York City. And my feelings run deep, and in the past week, I felt everything: anger and sadness and fear and some joy too. Just knowing that attention is being brought to a long history of injustice. And it's sad that this spark has caused this to happen, and I'm glad people are waking up. I always imagined that the new age, the age of light, would come in with flowers and bells, but it turns out there's work to do.
Yeah.
And we all have to rise up and find what is ours to do wherever we are, wherever we may be. When we see it, name it, don't accept it. Let love be the answer. So the challenge for me as a spiritually aspiring person is to stay connected with the truth of love. God is all there is. There's one presence, there's one power. And to do at the same time what is mine to do in the midst of the circumstances where I find myself, whatever they may be, every day. So there is something to do, and let's not let this precious moment of transition, transformation in our culture and society, in our world, pass by. Let's finish the job that has begun and has brought us to this point. So that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, thank you so much, David. I know you're a minister yourself, and your words are really speaking to my heart this morning. And I know what you're saying, that this is not a one-time couple marches and we've got it all figured out. It is some hard work to do, and a lot of it is among us, the white culture, that needs to not only be aware but to take action. So I appreciate your compassion, your wisdom this morning, and your music. It's been wonderful. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Jay.
Blessings to you. So we're back in this room, and I just want to thank you for being present with us this morning. This idea of breathing, of awakening with our breath, the breath of awakening. So just take a moment to breathe in with me, breathing in and breathing out. You know, around the center, if you've been around here very long, we often ask you to breathe in and out. Joey did a beautiful job this morning in her meditation this morning to take a conscious breath, because we know this breath can be a way to center, a way to cleanse, a way to clear and make ready for Spirit to be in our lives, that it is a conscious breath. And yet often this breath is just assumed to be, it's an automatic thing, and we sleep. We breathe while we sleep. You know, there's no part of our brain that does that for us. We took our first breath when we were out of the womb to become this independence, and we keep breathing until we take our last breath, until we leave this body and move on to our eternal beingness. Some yogis say that we have a finite number of breaths in our lives. So if we slow our breaths down, that means we get to live longer. That's according to yogis. I don't know if that's true or not, but I do know that this precious breath we have in us is important. And if we are in our sleep automatically breathing, sometimes for whatever reason we quit breathing and we wake up suddenly to catch our breath again. Well, that is this moment in time, because we have been woken up for breathing to take this breath. Because what we know is that there are so many of our black and brown brothers and sisters that are struggling with finding the basic resources they need, that their housing maybe that they literally can't breathe because they're in substandard housing, or if they have a house at all, or they're in cages at the borders, that they're confined metaphorically through inequality, economically, environmentally, opportunity-wise. And so they're just feeling they can't breathe in this moment. Now, we have simplified our lives in the last few months, and it's given us the opportunity to witness something that's been here all the time: injustices, police treatment of minorities by a minority of our police officers. I know most of our police officers are here to protect us and work with us. But it is an opportunity for us to evolve, to let love be the revolution in us, the revolution, and allow it to awaken in us towards action in our lives. This week I have been thinking a lot about breathing. I think about Ahmaud Arbery, who was chased by vigilantes in Georgia, literally running away and out of breath, I am sure, before he was shot in his back. I'm thinking about Breonna Taylor, who in her home in Louisville, Kentucky, slept and was wakened by someone bursting through her doors. I'm sure it took away her breath in fear before she was shot. Accidentally, but shot. In an unwarranted no-knock raid. And above all, I'm thinking of George Floyd, who was pleading until his very last breath to let him breathe, and say he was telling people he can't breathe. And so that's began the cry worldwide, a protest to give people space to breathe, space for justice and equality. And, you know, we have all been aware of different events that have happened. I mean, really, since before we became a country, slave ships were coming over here, and during slavery and past slavery, there has been oppression and injustice and cruelty and violence and murder. And it is this event, the breath that wasn't heard around the world, the pleas that he couldn't breathe that have been heard around the world. Millions of people are marching here in the United States, and hundreds of thousands of people are marching around the world in the name of justice for George Floyd and all people, especially our Black brothers and sisters at this time, because the injustices have been done. The wound has already been there, but we have been awakened to more realize what a tragedy this is and that something needs to be done for this. I was also touched by the videos I saw of George Floyd, and in his last seconds was not for his breath, it was for his mother. And I thought how touching it was until I realized, I heard that his mother had already passed. So it was with his last words he began his transition towards his eternal life with his mother. He might have even seen her in a vision, as many people do in their passing. Let us be this call to our home, to call to continue to awaken, not for one moment, one day, one period of time, but to continue to stay awakened, to look at our areas of hidden racism, hidden prejudice, and areas where we can advocate for greater equality for all people, but especially our Black brothers and sisters, because it's often mentioned as a metaphor that if you have a table where people are seated around and everybody there has a large plate of food that they have all they need, except for one person at the end of the table, and he has a plate or she has a plate, but there's no food on it. And everybody at the table says all people matter, and I understand that all people matter, but all people, most people there have food, and so one person down at the end that doesn't have the food, doesn't have the opportunity, doesn't have the equality. So we're focusing on this person that's representing these all Black brothers and sisters who don't have the same opportunity, the same sense of justice, the same opportunities and experiences in life. And there's a couple ways as we move towards action that we know that we can help our Black brothers and sisters. And one is to make sure that this person has the opportunity to have the food. The truth is that sometimes this Black brother or sister can't even get to the table to have the opportunity to sit at a place of power. I know here in Napa, we have had many people, Blacks who were once landowners and no longer are they landowners. There are very few businesses that are owned or even people that live here because Blacks were pushed out by redlining and sundowning and discrimination policies. And so we continue to want to support all these things. We also know that as we rest here at the confluence of the Napa River and the Napa Creek, that Chinese Americans lived along the riverbank and their villages were burned out. Native Americans, this was their land starting 10,000 years ago, and they have been pushed out as well. So we continue to want to know that all lives matter, and right now we focus on the Black brothers and sisters because that is the truth right now, that we need to make sure that they have all the opportunities and equality and justice afforded to them, either through public means in terms of government assistance to help them have the opportunities. Also, as private individuals, we can share of the bounty we have to make sure that people have enough opportunities and that they have the justice that we can contribute in ways that do this. I am still impressed by how many people around the country and around the world have been a part of these knowingness, of this awareness, of advocating for justice and freedom for all people. I remember the story of John Newton, who wrote the song Amazing Grace, that he was actually a slave trader. He was a captain of ships that brought slaves from Africa to the Americas. And one day close to the African coast, he was in a storm. His ship was thought was going to be thrown up against the rocks. And in the quietness of his own voice, because of his fear, he heard the cries of the Africans that were in the bowels of his ship. He heard their pain. He realized the pain he felt, the fear he felt, was the same fear and pain that they felt. And he knew that he could no longer be a part of a trade that ignores this fear and this pain. And so he began to turn that day he turned his ship around because the storm went back to the African coast. And although some people believe he still participated some in the cargo, in the shipping of African slaves, but it was for a brief amount of time, we know that his heart was turned in that moment. And it is not too late for us to turn our ship around. There may be injustices, not maybe, there has been injustices white people have done to Native Americans, to Asian Americans, to Latinx, and to blacks. We can acknowledge that, and we can turn the ship around in this moment. We can be an advocate. We can continue to fight this fight for freedom, for equality, for a greater life. And the way we do that is we simply allow this breath to awaken in us. At first, there may be no need to act, because first we need to know our truth. All the ancient faiths and philosophies and communities that taught spirituality taught about the breath. And in Southeast Asia and India, they talk about the prana, the life force. In the Abrahamic tradition, it's the rauch, which is the Jewish word for breathing life into a soul that was mentioned in Genesis. And Pentecost Sunday was last week, that's celebrated by many Christians. And that's a celebration of when the apostles were in the upper room and the breath of the Holy Spirit breathed in them. These are all the spiritual awakening they are. The Buddhist teacher Thich Nhat Hanh says that conscious breathing is his anchor. So let us allow and be conscious of our breathing. Let it be automatic when necessary, and conscious whenever we can, to allow and just allow Spirit to come through us, to be a greater awareness. I know at different times that in my life, even as an adolescent, I became aware of racist thoughts I had. But there's layers like an onion that come off, and I've got to the very core of my beliefs. And they still affect how I am in the world. And I want to take off more of those layers so I don't let that happen. That I see that all people are divine beings, no matter of their culture, the color of their skin, their background, their orientation, their gender identification, whatever they are. I want to honor who they are because that's who they are. I don't want to be colorblind or gender neutral. I want to know this person, this unique expression they are. And it's when I am consciously breathing, mindfully aware, that I can really see a person for who they are and nothing more that I make up in my mind. Just for that person that is in front of me, and I honor who that person is and know that. And then that from this place of awakening, I know it allows me to transform, to repent, as it's called in the Christian and Jewish and Islamic tradition. And repent simply means to turn around. Like John Newton's ship, he turned around. It's an awareness. Today at the part of the healing walk we're going to do today, the grieving and healing walk, I'm going to be leading a Ho'opono ceremony, which is a Hawaiian ceremony for recognizing, and it's a turning around as well. And it comes to the point of forgiveness. And what's interesting is I can speak for myself, and I can speak for my culture. I can speak for my gender. I can speak for who I am. And although I may not know exactly what it is, I know that as part of my DNA is mostly white. My DNA is all male. And I can speak of that and know this greater truth. It is. And the steps are simple. It starts with, I am sorry, and then please forgive, I love you, and thank you. So I would just, in brief, just say, I am sorry as a white man for all the times I've said things that were insensitive, for the times that I have ignored who you are, your race and your color. I am sorry for the times that I saw a black man and was afraid, not even knowing who that person was. I am sorry for seeing somebody's color of the skin as making them different, or classifying all just because they have that color of that skin, classifying them as stereotyping, as judging them, or doing anything that limits them in any way. Please forgive me. Because I have wronged you in many ways, from when I was young until today. And I want to stay open to other ways, that I want to continue to be in this place of humbleness. I don't expect you to suddenly forgive me, because this is a centuries of treatment. I appreciate you listening to me today. And I ask for your forgiveness. And I also want to let you know I love you for who you are in all ways. That the color of your skin, your culture, your orientation, your gender identity is all who you are, and I honor who you are, and I love all aspects of you. All of you is welcome in my circle, all of you, all aspects of you. And I want to thank you for being you. I want to thank you for listening. I want to acknowledge that sometimes you're tired, especially with my black brothers and sisters, that you're tired of explaining the ways that I have offended you, the ways that culture has mistreated you. And I just want to say thank you for being who you are and staying strong in who you are. Thank you. So finally, we want to breathe to awaken the truth within us, the power within us, the power to move to truth and speak the truth to power in all things we do. You know that all great movements in North America, the abolitionist movements, the suffragette movement, the farm workers movement, the civil rights movements, and many more, but all of them took time. They sought to move a mountain, and it took time, because it's like water that slowly moves into a mountain. It's not going to erode it right away. But what I do know is the more water that's forced into this mountain, the more it's going to begin to move this mountain. So we as a community, we as a state and a nation stand for justice. We stand for equality. And as a force, we begin to move this mountain. That we breathe consciously and with passion and zeal, we speak this. We know that some of the expressions of the protest have been raw. There have been a lack of organization with some of them, where it has spread into looting because there was such a raw expression of that. Is we know that looting was by extremes of many sides, so we don't put it on one particular race or culture, because it was just out of control, because it was like a dam that has been broken, and it was a raw expression of the water going out through the nation. But now, Saturday and other days, it's beginning to get more organized and focused in what we do. And it's amazing the power now that's being channeled. The people, literally hundreds of thousands of people are walking in every major city, and tens of thousands in smaller communities, all in the name of this truth. And I know that the response has been amazing in so many ways. Here in Napa, it's interesting because last Sunday there was meant to be a protest that was canceled by its organizers, and guess what? It happened anyway. Why? Because there was such an outpouring of desire to stand for justice and equality. Our own Napa police chief, Robert Plummer, kneeled in front of the protesters in honoring what they stood for, that he agreed with them. Now, I know in some communities the kneeling has been not with sincerity, but I promise you that our police chief, this kneeling was in sincerity of what he did, honored and humbled and willing to walk with them in their fight for justice and equality, which he agreed on. In Washington, D.C., what was a strong police force turned into the mayor there opening up and allowing a greater response from people, a greater willingness to allow people to march. She even got volunteers to paint Black Lives Matter down the road to create a clarity about what she stood for and what the march meant, that Black Lives Matters. And that's been going on and off throughout this country, different ways of people standing up. There was a restaurant owner in Minneapolis who, it was an Indian restaurant, and he first allowed it to be a refuge for demonstrators from the tear gas and the rubber bullets from the police officers. And later in the riots that happened, his restaurant was burned down. And yet he didn't have, he was sad about it, but he also knew that he said, let my building burn. Justice needs to be served. Put those officers in jail. His clarity, he was willing, and so many times we're willing to be in this service. Colin Kaepernick, his kneeling at football games received so much criticism, and finally more people figured out it wasn't about the flag after all. That kneeling meant something more, and many of us are kneeling now in clarity about what needs to happen here. People have walked together, all races together in all cities of this land and across Europe as well, and Asia and parts of Southeast Asia. And because this idea about resonating with our truth, so that we're resonating for equality and justice for all. So we continue to allow and advocate for this, as well as I encourage you to read books about equality, about white privilege, about famous Black writers like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Maya Angelou, and listen to their words. There's a great book here, a local book called The Hidden History of Napa Valley, that talks about the racism that's been in this valley to bring our awareness. I encourage you to frequent minority-owned businesses. There's Facebook pages and websites that list minorities, businesses, and to continue to support laws and policies that help our minorities, particularly those disenfranchised, particularly Black men and women in this way. And continue to allow Spirit to reveal in us. The author, L.R. Knost, who wrote a book about parenting, said this about parenting, because I know this is a difficult time to raise your children, or knowing how to do it. And she said, it's not our job to toughen our children up to face a cruel and heartless world. It's our job to raise children who will make the world a little less cruel and heartless. And she goes on to say that do not be dismayed, more to everybody here, dismayed by the brokenness of the world. All things break and all things can be mended, not with time, as they say, but with intention. So go, love intentionally, extravagantly, unconditionally. The broken world waits in darkness for the light that is you. This is what is needed. So let us go to prayer. We know that the Spirit in us is the greatness of our being. And we surrender humbly to this. We allow Spirit to come through us and be this voice for justice and equality for all. We may not know what to say. We may know not what to do, but Spirit through us does. So we just humbly allow Spirit to come through us in all aspects of our life. And for this, we are just so, so grateful. And we know it is so. And so it is. Thank you. And now we bring back into the room for another feature song, David Washington.
Thank you, Reverend Jay, for those penetrating and powerful words, for walking your talk and setting an example through your living. It's inspiring to be with you, and I'm glad we're together in this way. I'd like to bring you a song that I wrote back in 2016, shortly after the elections, and it's called Vision for the Nation. I have a vision for this place the founders saw, a nation born to lift the lamp at the golden door. I hold a vision for this nation's quality, where every woman, man, and child lives in dignity. Through sober eyes we see the past and release the deeds we've done. Nothing can stand in the way of an idea whose time has come. We are the vision that emerges from on high, a people of integrity, a nation of prosperity, where we fulfill our destiny, where none are bound and all are free, where every woman, man, and child lives in liberty. All freedom, sweet freedom, here and now.
Thank you so much, David. Just that I can feel the consciousness that's in your music, and it's a treat this morning. So, and it, you know, across the airwaves, across the internet, you know, so it's beautiful. There's only one God, and we know that. So blessings to you, and thank you so much. So this is a time in our service when we ask, and we are part of our sharing of abundance. We appreciate all that you have given us, and we just want to honor your gifts. I've included our cards and checks that have been, and put them in the offering, as well as any donations I include in this affirmation that you have given to us on PayPal or Facebook. So we just say together, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. And so it is. Thank you so much. We also like to honor our children at this time who are at home. I doubt they've stayed through watching the service, but you could probably hear in the background. Or there are children that are far away that we don't get to see as much during this time as we want to. So we just raise our hands and we bless them. We see you, we care about you, and we're here for you. We also want to invite you to prayer. Fill out the prayer request cards that you see the link for that are on our new website. Did I mention that already? Sorry, just kind of. And we will be praying for you because we love to do that. It gives us enlightenment and meaning to be able to pray for you. So thank you for your prayer request. And then we also just want to end with our community affirmation that we do every time. So I will pause in time and let you repeat after me. And so we know something wonderful is happening through me right now. I am led by Spirit. I am guided by wisdom. I am protected by love. I am here to be a blessing. I am so grateful. And so it is. Thank you for joining us. And now we have our closing song.
Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are living a new world now. Let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. Let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be joy, love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. Let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. Let there be peace. Let there be love. Let there be joy. We are making a new world now.
Thank you, David. We are making a new world now. Join us at 12. Well, join us for the ZOOM community, 12:30 online for the grieving and healing walk. And then look at our new website for events coming up this week. And what we know as we go forward, we are protected by love and we're guided by love. We are blessed by love that is spirit within us. And so it is. Have a great rest of your Sunday.